Hi, my name is Barb Emmet, and I'm happy that you're joining us today for the show Dog is Family, where we celebrate the lives we share with our dogs, where we explore the things that we need to do to nurture them, their mind, body, and their spirit. And in many cases, we bring you personal stories of people's journeys as their lives have changed through their dogs. And actually today, I'm very excited to introduce you to a lovely young lady with her 3 dogs here today. We're going to jump right in today with Tracey Jones and her dogs. We did have scheduled Dr. Linda Stern from Malvern, but unfortunately she's been pulled away. She has very many appointments. So we are going to spend the most all of the time with Tracey and her 3 wonderful Pauthers today. So let me turn to my right, and I'm going to introduce Tracey. Hi, Tracey.
Hi, Barb.
Tell us who's here today.
Well, I have the whole pack here today. First of all is the Grand Dame, the leader of the pack. This is Ruby Red. They're all rescues, but she is a purebred Australian Shepherd. She's from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and she is going to be 12 years old on Thanksgiving. And then back here, Indy, come here. We have my little shy boy. Come on, Indy. This is Indigo Jones. Indy, come here. And he is part Corgi and part Sheltie. Oh, Roscoe got the treat. And he is a rescue from West Virginia. And he is 2 years old, and he's Corgi Sheltie, so that's why he's a little bit shy, but he's going to talk about his books. And then my third pup here is Roscoe the Rascal. Roscoe is from Houston, Texas. And Southern Comforts Animal Rescue, and he is 2 years old, and I'm not sure what he is. A little bit of terrier, which we'll talk a little bit about in his book.
That, yes.
But maybe a little bit of Airedale. Oh, there's Indigo. Come here, Indy. A little bit of Airedale, maybe a little bit of Basset, but pure love. Okay.
Oh, that's excellent, Tracey. Thanks for that introduction.
Thank you.
I want to read Tracey's bio. Look, and I think Roscoe wants to talk about that too. Tracey is a well-accomplished woman, and I know I've talked before about her background in the Air Force, and we're going to get into a little bit of that in the corporate world. But for today, we're really talking about the dogs and how they've changed your life and others. Here's Tracey's bio that she wrote for our program today. An avid cat fan and a rescuer, Tracey had no idea the power of the pup until Providence crossed her path with a 6-week-old abandoned fuzzball deep in the heart of Texas. And that would have been Mr. Blue. It was then she caught a terminal case of puppy love, which we all understand, that forever changed the course of her life. She's an active and avid believer that dogs can be one of the greatest influences in our lives. Seen it too. She credits her first dog, Mr. Blue, for turning her life around. Tracey has written 2 adult books and 4 children's books with 4 of her rescues, and 3 of them are here today. She, along with her best-smelling Pauthers, speaks to elementary schools through the Northeast on leadership, loyalty, continuous learning, self-esteem, overcoming adversity, and even obedience and financial literacy. She has a website for her dogs, and she also has a website for leadership that she does with businesses and corporations and adults. And she promotes awesome life lessons we can learn from our canine companions, which is all what we've been about. Tracey, speak to us a little bit about when did you first fall in love with dogs?
Well, I first fell in love with dogs, and like I said, I was a cat person. I'm like dogs, and being in the military, I was gone on deployments a lot, so I'm like, dogs, I mean, they're not going to fit into my life. Cats are easy, you know, you go for a couple weeks and they do their own thing. But I was at work in Austin, Texas, and somebody came up with a box of 11 puppies, 6-week-old puppies, and came into our workplace. I worked in the semiconductor industry, and all these people that I was working with in my cubicles went downstairs. And they're like, there's puppies downstairs, and I'm like, so what? But next thing I know, I'm the only one at the desk working. I'm like, all right, might as well, everybody's out there seeing these puppies, let's go see. And I guess I just I'd seen dogs. We had the outdoor dogs growing up. You know, that was back in the day where dogs weren't integrated into part of the family.
Yes.
So I was familiar with dogs. But I didn't really understand. I had never raised one from a pup. And so I went down there, and there was these 11 little fuzzballs laying on the ground. And there was one with this beautiful silver and black coat. Mr. Blue was a self-blue merle. And he looked like a little fuzzball. He was about 6 weeks old. And all the other dogs had solid colored coats, gold, black, brown.
Oh, my goodness.
And then there was 2 merles. So I'm flashy. I like the colors and stuff like that. And so he was, the lady that had brought the pups was holding him. And she said, do you want to pick one of them up? And I said, no, because I was looking at Mr. Blue, who has a coat just like Indigo. Aww. And she said, do you want to hold this one? And I said, oh, I thought you were taking him home. And she said, no, I'm the one that brought them. So that was it.
That was it.
I held Mr. Blue, and he was full of fleas and worms, and just looked at me. And I brought him home, and I remember calling my father that night, and I said, you're not going to believe it. And he goes, what? And I said, I got a puppy. And he goes, Tracey, you know they live to be like 15. He goes, this is a big responsibility. And I didn't know what to do. I knew cats. I didn't know dogs. And I cried the first night, and Mr. Blue's sitting there whimpering, and I didn't know how to get puppy pads. I didn't know about capstone flea. I didn't know anything. But, you know, ever since then, getting over that initial, it was glorious. And I had him for a little over 13 of the best years of my life.
And I was fortunate enough to meet Mr. Blue. And he came out and you came out with him.
Yes.
And at the time, you know, that's a traumatic change in someone's life, in your life, to be working in corporate and cat and hold a puppy. And then life changes.
Exactly.
You then got a second dog, right?
I did. That was Miss Ruby. And Blue had turned, Rubes, come here.
Miss Ruby.
Ruby, come here. Blue had turned 10 years old. And I remember thinking, okay, he was a Basset Australian Shepherd mix. And I remember thinking, all right, when Mr. Blue goes, and I prepared for this from the minute I got him. I hate to say it, but all I've ever heard from people is I've lost cats, and I know how traumatic that was. I had never lost a dog, and he was my once-in-a-lifetime dog, my soul dog. And so he was turning 10, and I thought, I'm going to integrate another member of the pack in, because when he goes, if I don't have something there, so it was kind of a selfish reason, but I thought I just have to bring another member in. So Ruby, I had a male, and they said if you have a male, get a female. I love the Australian Shepherd breed, and I didn't want to get a puppy because Mr. Blue was 10. And so Ruby, I found her on Pet Finder and a local rescue, and she was 6 years old. And so that's how Ruby came into my life.
What did Ruby teach you? And we're going to talk a little bit more about thinking about Ruby when she came in as your second dog after Blue. What Ruby? She's looking at me so.
It was like, come here, Ruby. Smart. It was, she is. It was like night and day. Blue, I had him from six weeks old, and was the most mellow, soulful, sweet spirit. You met him. Just you'd look at him, and people were just in awe of him. Now Ruby wasn't so fortunate. I got her when she was 6. And all I knew is that she had been used as a breeding dog and then dumped at a high-kill shelter. Oh, golly. So I found out afterwards she was on the euthanization list for being, I don't know if you can see her, but she's totally stretched out, for being aggressive. And when I got her, she clung to me and Blue, but everybody else, she was aggressive. People aggressive, kid aggressive, dog aggressive. And I live in a town with kids and strollers and bikers and ducks and geese, and I was like, honey, you need to tone it down. And I had no idea what to do. So what she taught me, and I made a commitment. And I said, I can't have an aggressive animal, but I'm going to commit to 1 year with her. And we're going to pour our lives into turning this, what happened to you before, around. Wow. So looking at Ruby, as she expressed, as I had to work through the physical, the psychological, the behavioral, the spiritual, all the damages, and I'm looking at her and I'm like, honey, you need to let go of your past. And I'm thinking, Miss Tracey, there's a lot of things about your past you need to let go of too. Wow. So she really taught me, thank you, she really taught me to just that your past, even if it's awful, can make you better, not bitter. But you got to get a second leash on life. And now, when I tell people, she does speeches everywhere, and she usually, and I'm like, she was so aggressive, and not to me, but I was so worried, and she was so unpredictable and nervous and just broken. And now she's just in love. She was out there with the TV station founder just on her back. I didn't think he was going to get away from her. Just like, love me, love me. So Ruby is just, before she was full of fear, now she's absolutely full of love.
What a beautiful story. And it's a journey then that the two of you took,
it was. It was,
and
yes,
that's part of what they teach us. They help us work and walk through life. So that's beautiful. So she was working with you there and working on her changes, and then what happened? A third dog.
And then I got a call from the rescue that adopted Ruby. It was a Sheltie Border Collie rescue, and they said, Tracey, we have a dog just like Mr. Blue. And I said, that's impossible. And they said, he's so sweet, and he's a blue merle, and he's from West Virginia, and he was on the run, and the dog catcher caught him, and he's 6 months old, and his name's Billy, and would you like to look at him? And I'm like, listen, it took me 10 years to get a second dog. I'm not getting a third. But we went and we looked, because you never know. And Ruby, because she had been a breeding dog, because she was so aggressive to other dogs, I thought, well, I can never have another dog as long as I have Ruby, because she's going to go at him. And so then I went to go see Indigo, and he was about 15 pounds, 6 months old. And so she clucked on him like he was her little baby.
Oh,
She's
she
so
did?
nurturing. And then Blue, the soul dog,
Wow.
he fell in love with Indigo, because then he resumed the alpha position rather than vying for it with her. And then those two kind of bonded as a mommy baby. And then Mr. Blue stepped up again. He always was the number one son. But then he kind of was more the sheriff. And he taught these two to be the sweetest dogs in the whole wide world.
Wow.
Yes.
And look at the growth and change in your knowledge of how dogs interact and how they adjust to each other, and they shift their roles within the family, right?
Yes, they sure do.
They really, oh, look how precious. Oh my goodness, that changed up the pack.
Wake up, we're on TV.
Oh, I can't take it. They're just too adorable in here today. Of course, then, Mr. Blue had been aging, so how did you deal with that change in Mr. Blue?
Worst day of my life, for those of you who lost one. And, you know, people are a little bit gun-shy about what a trauma it is to lose a dog. And I said, don't, because it's the one relationship in our lives outside of our faith in God, or, you know, whoever you go to that will never, ever betray you, let you down. It's the one relationship that is 100% beautiful. Yes. And we don't have relationships like that in life, not even with our family or spouses, because we're human. And no matter how good we are, we still hurt each other and we wound each other's souls, but not dogs. You know, and so Mr. Blue had lymphoma. He was diagnosed when he was 12, and I went up to Malvern for chemo for about 10 months, and the first phase is 16 treatments, and he was in remission each time I went back, but on the 16th one,
no kidding.
it was the worst time. And so we went to phase 2, and I want to say to the viewers, if as long as he was responding and going into remission, I kept going back. But then in phase 2, I think on the second trial, it became clear that he was not going to go back into remission. So that's when I ceased treatment, just made him comfortable, and was with him till the very end. And I'd say to people, if you don't have the time and the money to do it, that's okay. I did at that time. But dogs don't fear death; they fear pain. So just be there with them and make sure they have a good quality of life, and they rely on you to make the tough call for them.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blue was so out of it the last day. I think I waited maybe one day too long, but then at the very end he looked up at me and gave me 4 kisses before he went.
And he said, "It's okay, Mama, I'm ready." Yeah, this is what we all, when we go through this, our pain in the heart and what we have to walk through each and every day without them is the toughest. So I'm sorry about that.
Thank
we
you.
know how
I'm
hard
glad
it
you
is.
got to meet him. I know.
You know, we're already going like this because all of you dog lovers out there, where your dog is family, we all know what this feels like. And it's hard for Tracey as well, no matter how many years go by, right, Mr.
Yes.
Blue? And then after that, you adopted another one.
Yes, and then to honor Blue, Blue was from Austin, Texas, and a Basset mix. So I said, to honor Mr. Blue, I want another Basset mix from Texas, because I lived in Texas, and everything's big in Texas. So I wanted another big-spirited dog, so I got on Southern Comfort's Animal Rescue, and they had a mother who was rescued. She looked like some kind of a white Spitz dog, and they said he was a Basset Springer Spaniel mix, and I know both those breeds, so I said, okay, I like it, because I have 3 cats too. And so anyways, I got online and I saw his baby pictures, and there was a litter of 8, and they were all getting adopted, and they said he's the smartest and the most mellow. Well, they were right about half of that. He is the smartest. He wasn't the most. And so I picked him up. He flew into Dulles. And they opened the cage, and everybody was there, like, oh my gosh, at the wing where the dogs come in. So there was a lot of dogs coming in, and I got him on the 4th of July, my little firecracker. And
your little firecracker.
And they opened the cage, and he was 13 weeks old, and he just sat there and he looked at me. And of course, it was very emotional because he's the successor to Mr. Blue, and came out of the cage, and and somebody saw him and said, he's a terrier. And I said, what? And they go, you have cats. He's a terrier. And I was like, what have I done? What have I done? What have I done? And so, but he was fine. You know, you got to be a little bit more heavy-handed with them because they're quite willful. Mm-hmm. You know, the other children were just, you know, I could be a total hands-off mommy, but he got the hang of it, and I just love the terrier, and we'll talk, that's kind of his book that he wrote. I love that terrier mentality. They're so funny, they're so smart, they're so independent, but boy, they make you work for it.
They make you work for it. That's a good way to put that.
They sure do.
They make you work for it, and they keep you on your toes,
yes,
right?
They do. Yes, they do.
They're just so precious. I wish all of you at home could be sitting right in the middle of these pups. Awesome, awesome pups. Which then leads us to Miss Tracey owns a book publishing company and stepped into the shoes of her father, who was a nationally known speaker. Tell us a little bit about that. And we're going to transition from your dog mom journey and your transition into the love of dogs to how this became something that integrated with the business that you run and how that happened.
I appreciate that. Well, my father was always an animal lover. I can remember him watching the Jackie Gleason honeymoon special where he went to the pallet and topped it. My dad would laugh and cry. Of course, he was always on the road, but always an animal lover. And I can remember as a kid going to petting zoos and bringing home people's pets, and my mom going, that's not your animal. Okay, mama, you know, kind of thing. So always had it in me. But he was a motivational speaker, one of the top 25 in personal development, came from a very difficult background, flunked out of 8th grade, poverty, in Alabama, back in the South after the Depression. And but again, like with Ruby, that's where he started. That's not where he finished. And he met my mother, and he found the Lord, and he found a group of people, a community that discipled and encouraged him, and he went to sell life insurance with Mutual New York and was, of course, a natural.
Wow.
Because he was just always amazed at the opportunities he had at life. Rather than what he wasn't given, he just was amazed at how much he could have the chance to give back. And so he met Mr. Blue. He didn't get to meet these guys. He would have loved them. He went home about 8 years ago. And when he passed, I thought it was time to come back, and again, he was a speaker. I call him he was a bookaholic. He was a pusher. He'd get you.
I understand that.
I'm a pusher.
I understand books.
And his statement was that you're going to be the same person that you are today 5 years from now, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read. And I would also say,
profound.
And the pets you rescue.
And the pets you rescue.
Yeah.
There
So
you go. Add that byline, Dad, right?
Yes.
Because he sees what's going on and he sees the power of what happened.
Yeah, so I came back to run the store, and everybody kept saying, well, you know, he wrote this book called Life is Tremendous, which has sold millions of copies back in '67, and was all about Roscoe, don't bite your tie. Roscoe, don't bite your tie. I see you.
No,
naughty, naughty.
Yeah, naughty, naughty.
And
we'll learn about that.
And so he wrote this book, Life is Tremendous, which is all about enthusiasm. And so everybody's like, well, when are you going to write your book? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to write a book. I'm publishing. There's so many great books out there. And so anyways, I would put all my stuff on social media, pouring out my heart about these are my leadership journeys, or this is what I learned in the Air Force, or this is coming back running a second-generation business, or whatever. And, you know, people would be like, that's nice. But when I would put a picture of Mr. Blue with the book, say Mr. Blue sniffed out another great title, I get tons of responses.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm like, all right, people are as crazy about dogs as I am. And so that's when somebody said to me, write your first book from the dog's perspective. And then it was done.
And then it was done. And I will tell you, folks, Tracey's perspective and the way she thinks and the way she links dogs and their behaviors and what they do and how that translates to what we can learn from them is like nothing else I've read. Very creative, very thoughtful, very quick. Let's take a look now. If we could look at the slide here, Tracey had sent us some things. And one of the first ones is Tracey with, who are we with here?
That's at one of the school events. That's with Indigo.
That is with Indigo, and we're going to learn why that's important. Tracey does so many things, then also running Tremendous Life books. She's out a lot, out and about with some of these stories that the boys have written and girl have written.
Yes.
And in this one, she's talked a lot about True Blue leadership. And there's Mr. Blue in the cover of the book, and it says, "This book may be worth $1 million dog bones to you." And it's Tricks of the Chief Motivational Hound.
That was Mr. Blue.
Right. Let's see. I think you brought a video. Let's see if we can get our video showing. And I love this book personally. I have this book, and the lessons in leadership are truly amazing. Profound for
It can
adults,
be tough.
right?
And this is the children's
I should
version that
know.
you're seeing.
I used to be a
have our
pup just
sound?
like you, and boy, did I have it rough. I was lucky, though, because I had some great teachers who taught me a lot of really awesome things that kept me out of the doghouse and made me the positive wonder dog that I am today. I'm forever grateful that I got the chance to learn those wonderful lessons, and that's why I want to share them with you. You're going to learn some really important things, like the value of work, what to do about a bully, how to look and act your best, how to deal with scary things, and other great lessons that can turn an underdog into a wonder dog. Without these lessons, you might go through life chasing your own tail while scratching for fleas. You don't want to do that. Plus, at the end of each chapter, there's a series of juicy questions for you to chew on and a place for you to share what you've learned. Learn these lessons and you can be a wonder dog like me.
Take us through, Tracey, then, from the adult book, and I'd like to have you read some of the chapters
Absolutely.
in that book, and then Tracey then went from the adult version into a book for children, which we just saw. So
Absolutely.
help us understand that.
Absolutely. Well, this is True Blue Leadership, and this is the one inspired by Mr. Blue. And you say, well, how can a dog write a book? And I said, well, I don't know, but he autographed it, so you tell me, okay? There's the proof is in the pudding. So basically, these are the leadership lessons that I learned from Mr. Blue. And again, I've worked for 30 years in various industries, the military, Fortune 100 companies, defense contracting, government contracting, you name it, and now running a small family business. So Mr. Blue talks in these different chapters, work like a dog. Don't wait for your boss to tell you what to do. Just do what you need to do. Let the tail wag the dog. This is about being friendly at work, okay? Not being sour-faced or not being respectful. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Don't put stuff about your boss on Facebook, okay?
There we go.
There's a lot of
There
people
we
that do
go.
stuff, and I'm like, dear Lord, this is not going to go. Give that dog a bone. This is about finding out, what is your life passion? What is that 1 cent that you, and for me, I always wanted to be a writer.
Yeah.
But growing up, I'm like, well, you can't make any money in that, so I went the engineering route. And here I am 30 years later, and I'm like, finally, I'm a writer. I grew up, there's a chapter in here called Herding Isn't Leading. And that is about what to do if your boss is a bully. There's a lot of corporate bullies out there and in other organizations. What do you do if your boss is toxic or the work environment? What do you do in that situation? We have a frank talk about that. Dealing with vacuum cleaners. These are the people that kick up a bunch of dirt and hot air, the drama people, and what do you do to disengage from people like that? Because they just want to draw you into your vortex, and you got nothing to do with that. And again, how to have a pet. You don't have to have a pedigree to be best in show. You don't have to have the boss's last name. You don't have to have a degree from it. It's about being on the front line, not what's in your bloodline. And so these are all really, and continuous learning, of course. Old dogs have to learn new tricks.
There we go.
Because the minute you think you know it all, you might as well go to the big doghouse in the sky, because you got to keep learning. Drink it from the water bowl of life. And so after this came out, people kept saying, well, I want my kid to read it because it had Blue's picture on it. And I said, well, it's not a child's book. And then I thought, but why not? Why can't loyalty, friendliness, work ethic, dealing with bullies, these are all lessons that the sooner we learn them in life, the more awesome years we can have. So then we took those 10 lessons and did them in an elementary school version from underdog to wonder dog and illustrated those. And again, so you can read these along with your child, and that's Mr. Blue. He works, he chases squirrels, everybody loves them. And so you can read this along with your child as they're going through these wonderful life lessons. And this is one story that the school kids really love. Mr. Blue, his first day of doggy daycare, was bullied by a dog.
Oh,
called
no.
Pineapple.
Oh, no. See, now
Bit him on the
that-
nose. Yep. And so we talk about that could have ruined Mr. Blue's life. So
Yes.
those are Mr. Blue's 2 books.
Excellent. Do you do workshops in adult
Yes,
situations with
absolutely.
leadership?
Absolutely, and also adult
With
workshop
children?
with Saucy Aussie.
Oh, let's talk about Saucy Aussie.
Sure. So this is, as you can see, this is Confessions of a Reformed Out-of-Bounds Hound, because Ruby was, and you can see this is the birth of Venus, and so this is kind of Ruby. She became a doggess. You know?
Oh, there we go. Now we can do the slideshow with Ruby. I think she became a doggess.
She did,
my
and you'll
goodness.
like this. There's some she has her Saucy Aussie ancestors in here. Maggie the Iron Dog Thatcher, Rosa Barks, Mommy Teresa, Tina Terrier, Sacapawea. So she comes from a long line of strong females that have overcome the odds and said, you know what, that's how life started, but this is how life is going to finish. So these are really about overcoming, letting go your jealousy, letting go your ego. Don't be a bulldog in a china shop. I mean, Ruby is a strong personality, and she feels like she was owed it because she had a tough start. Like bark through that muzzle. Let sleeping dogs lie. There are going to be some people and things that still trigger her. Don't go there. Sometimes we think as people, well, I have to get it back to how it was. No, you don't. You have to have a clean separation. And the other thing I really learned is Ruby learned how to get the H out of here, to turn a threat into a treat. Just get rid of the letter H. And it's all about fear or excitement. The only difference is your attitude. And so everything that used to scare the living daylights out of her now, she loves it because she views it as a treat, not a threat.
Wow.
And if we can learn to do that, that's pretty good.
Powerful, powerful words. I have a little video here, I think, of this.
Oh, this is a good one. Oh, this is a really good one. This is my favorite.
Come on.
Ever feel caged up in your old attitude? Tired of kibbles when you could be dining on filet mignon? I was once like you. Hi, I'm Ruby Red, Australian Shepherd, purebred, thank you. I'm just a small-town pup from Kentucky who went from being bare-pawed and pregnant to unleashing the saucy Aussie within me. I began life on the wrong side of the tracks, bringing litter after litter into a broken home. Some would say I had issues. My owners were done with me and sent me to the big house. I thought it was all over for this old girl. But then, I got a new leash on life. I went from cold concrete to the lap of luxury. At first, it was pretty scary, but after some intense belly rubbing therapy, new treats, and lots of love and affection from my new owner, I'm back on the right side of the tracks and rubbing paws in some pretty high-class circles. I know now everything happens for a reason. And it's true, a slightly older dog can learn new tricks. I'm even a published author with my very own book. You'll get to hear how to turn a threat into a treat, when to bark through that muzzle, and that every dog has his or her day. You'll even get to see some of my very famous ancestors.
I'm not a huge fan of the canine way of life, but this book is definitely something I can dig my claws into. It's pretty much perfect.
I'm very barkful to my new owner, who taught me to always stay positive. When life throws you a curveball, fetch it. Learn this and other tricks in my new book, Saucy Aussie Living, Confessions of a Reformed Out-of-Bounds Hound. And remember, life is short, especially in dog years, but there's always time to turn it around and get a second leash on life. So let's make our choices possum ones.
Excellent. Oh my goodness.
Isn't she
I don't know how
beautiful?
you can just not enjoy watching that. For me, it's just an incredible, incredible video. What do you think
Thank
there,
you.
Saucy Aussie Ruby Red? She's like, I'm not giving that
It's
away.
like I've seen that before. It's good.
Yeah. I don't know. We have to stop that one. And then pausing. Bear with us. We have another one we want to show. Now, we're going to leave you, Saucy Aussie, and we're going to go to Indy.
Boxcar Indy. So Indigo, as he's growing up and filling into his beautiful corgi form, those of you that have corgis, they're like fire hydrants on the, they're like blocks.
They're stocky.
tacky.
They're little
and they're almost square. He's like a Lego. So I felt his back the one day in the store, and I'm like, his spine is square. This dog is a box. So you know it, honey. And so that way, we came up with the next book, and of course it was time for Indigo. Was like, when am I going to write a book? So he came up with his first book, Boxcar Indy, after Boxcar Willie.
Yes.
And it's called A Square Dog in a Round World. And this is all about self-esteem. Now, I'm going a little younger, because like I said, I like the earlier. And this is really about a square dog in a round world. This is a self-esteem book.
Okay.
That we are all uniquely and wonderfully made. And that if somebody says you're different, it's because you're special. And there's nobody else like you. So it's teaching children at a very young age to kind of celebrate each other's differences. And so Indigo, again, didn't have a home and he was different. And he thought he would never have a home. And he got into trouble, like the doggies dug a hole, and he couldn't get out of the round hole because it was a square dog, so he got in trouble. And so they teased him. And he took that to heart. And I don't want to give the end away.
Okay.
But it was a wonderful end. But he finds out that because he's different, because he's square, he can do certain things that nobody else can. And when we celebrate our genetic coding and our unique gifts, we realize we can do stuff that only we can do. And when you dial into that, it's what a lot of adults do with the strength finders or the DISC or the Myers-Briggs test. We finally don't focus on your weakness, focus on your strengths. And so that's what it's teaching children to recognize. And then shortly after that, we were doing a presentation at a school, and one of the presidents of the corporate credit union was there, and he said, do you think we could write a children's book on financial literacy? Well, absolutely.
Of course.
So then Indigo came out with his second book, Boxcar Indy Goes to Doggy World. And so this is for children ages, I would say 2nd to 5th grade, and Boxcar Indy wants to go to Doggy World, and he has to save up money or he has to go into debt. These are the choices.
Save up money or go where?
Go into debt.
Oh!
So these are, I've had people say, can my adult...
And I think adult people should be reading.
And it teaches you entrepreneurship and savings and interest and delayed gratification. Like, don't go blow. Sometimes when we get money in our pocket, it burns a hole in it. We buy junk we don't need. And getting a job, asking your neighbor, can I help you? There's so many people in our neighborhoods that could use help. And so all of that. And then in the end,
he does get to Doggy World.
He does get to go to Doggy World.
He gets to Doggy World.
He does. And then, of course, we even have wonderful doggy dollars here.
Dogland.
Aren't they cute?
$1 doggy dollars.
So when we do these programs at school, the kids as graduation money get those doggy dollars, and they absolutely love it.
Oh, that's just precious. The lessons learned in these books are incredible for today and for any time, and adults and children. They are timeless. I have a little video here. Should we show this box?
Yes.
Boxcar Indy that you had sent to us. Let's see what this looks like. They're so creative.
Hi everyone. I'm Boxcar Indy. I'm different. I'm square. Different. Isn't I know it's also what I know it's special. It's special. I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of adventures. But all I need to find my own. Call tremendous life. Order your car and learn being different. And learn how to make you special. Make you special.
Well, yeah, that was different. Okay. That one we were struggling with. You come here. Oh, close that. I like these doggy dollars. That
Aren't they
looks
cute?
like a
And
lot
paw
of fun.
tattoos, too.
Oh, and they have paw tattoos,
Temporary
too.
paw tattoos.
Wow. Then, let's see, our next step, I had one little one from Doggy World. Should we try that video?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see if that one works. Doggy World sounds a lot like Disney World.
Who doesn't love a wonderful amusement park?
Right. Is this one
Maybe someday we'll build a Doggy World where children and their pets can go and celebrate together.
Now that would be fun.
They are dogs are family.
Dogs
We're going to
are
take a family
family.
vacation. We should all go together.
Dogs are family. Well, that one's having a little trouble. Let's look. I was so impressed as well with some of the artwork in your book to represent these dogs here today, and I did,
Try slideshow.
what's that?
Try
Oh, yeah. We will start, some of the artwork, I just think it's just very precious. It's so
Thank you. We
good.
get a lot of positive responses when we do the elementary school programs for children. They're just, we're telling the story and they get to see the artwork on there.
These look like they could be color sheets, or if they're not, they're
We
getting
do
them.
coloring sheets.
Do you do the coloring
we
sheets?
We do. We have black and white. So when we come and do the events for children, or like come at your event, there's Amelia Barkart.
Oh my goodness!
Isn't she beautiful?
It's just beautiful.
I know.
It's just so. It's so engaging. It's just a beautiful piece of artwork. And who is doing your artwork? Have you have a
Neil
partnership?
McMillan. Yes, he's done all the books, and he's doing the next book coming
He
out too. A
is?
local illustrator. Yes.
We did have him at Godfrey's. He's helped.
Yes, he
a lot
does
of our customers.
caricatures. Yes, and we'll see. Maybe he can be out for the big event.
Amelia Barkart. Oh my goodness! How about this one?
Jonah Bark.
Oh my goodness, that is just too adorable, Jonah Bark.
Yes.
Oops.
Oh,
No, that
here
one
comes
went
the
back.
next one.
Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Roscoe and your current book. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, again, I'm taking it down a little bit younger.
Okay.
And these are my children, but I can relate when people say the terrible twos.
Okay.
And I say, okay, I may not have had the terrible twos, but I had the terrier twos. Okay? Because Roscoe, I had wart-chewed shoes and beds and you name it, and more no-nos. And so we came out with our next book is called No Roscoe.
There it is.
And it's by Roscoe the Rascal. And this is all about, this is really for children, preschool age children. And it's going to be a hard book, like a younger child's book, a preschooler. And it's called No Roscoe, and it's all about obedience.
Oh.
And what happens when you don't listen. So he gets into quite a few situations, as you can see.
Well, we saw this slide,
yes,
which
you saw
I
this-
just think this is just so representative.
Yeah, and
of-
he's silly, and it's, he's pushy. He takes others' toys. He doesn't listen to his mommy. He messes up. He knocks laundry off the bed and thinks it's funny and doesn't pick it up. He eats Kitty's food. I think the next
I
slide
have
you
one
have
of
is
Kitty's food,
and
yes.
Prince William of Orange. You saw him in the video. He is a real cat. And he is.
There he is.
There you go. There's. So Prince William of Orange. And he's quite rude and pushy and bossy. And so that's when kids are going through this challenging independent phase, they're really pushing the envelope. And he really did that with me. He really pushed it. And then he doesn't listen and he runs off. Okay? And then, so we really get into, for young kids to realize, hey, mommy and daddy and everybody and friends and family and neighbors, they tell you things to keep you safe and sound. And so the sooner you can listen to them, the better, because otherwise bad things happen. So don't worry. In the end, he goes from no Roscoe to way to go Roscoe. So he pulls it out in the end. And that will be available for the first time. November 19th.
Yes. Oh my goodness, we have a slide. No Roscoe. We're so excited about this. We're going to have a autograph and book signing event at Godfrey's on Saturday, November 19th from 11 to 3. Tracey is coming. Are you going to be bringing everybody? Or
I would
just
love
no?
to.
Okay.
I would love to.
We would love to. And again, Tracey
And we'll have all
says
the books
we'll have all the books. We'll have books, autographs.
Autograph? Absolutely. So for the holiday shopping, or if you want to get
Yes.
gifts or pictures taken, they'll all be there.
And he is a new pup in the pack. He has one problem. He's a Rascal, of course. Can his family teach him to behave before it's too late? Oh my goodness. I just know kids out there that are watching, or parents that are watching this, that would delight in the mischief that Roscoe gets into, because like him, they have those kind of issues. It's funny, it's engaging. I know it's going to be. I haven't had a chance to look at it. It'll be great for preschoolers, for independence, and also highlighting the importance of listening and following the rules, which, we don't like rules all the time, but we certainly have to have rules and boundaries, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So I hope people mark this on their calendar. Maybe we should pop that slide back up again just to write that down, and please come out and see us that day. It's going to be a fun day. It's also the day, and I think it ties in very nicely with our annual Wine and Dine Fest for dogs that day. We serve up their own healthy Thanksgiving dinner as a way of saying thanks for what they bring to our lives and what we've done. And we've done that for I've done this probably for 10 years, where I like to serve them up, say thanks to the people who have their dogs as family, say thanks to the dogs, and of course part of that is having Tracey there with her lovely, lovely pups. I think that's going to be a really, really fun day. As far as where else we're headed with this, let's chat about do you have a few more things that you'd like to share with us, Tracey? Because that's pretty well what we've planned today.
Absolutely. You can contact, everybody's got Facebook pages.
Yes.
And,
oh my gosh, they have their own?
They got, well, not Roscoe yet. He will. And here comes Indigo. Okay. And here comes Ruby. I want everybody to get some beautiful shots. Because you see how pretty they are. And so they can contact us at tremendousleadership.com. We can come and do programs for your school or for your adults. Just let us know. And the dogs come and you can see how wonderful they are. And the one thing that I have really kind of segued into the youth leadership program, I call it four-legged leadership.
Yes.
And it's hands and paws together.
Ugh.
And dogs, like I said, and I was in an event last night at a Celebrate Recovery event, and there was a service dog there. Because it's not just for kids. Dogs are such healers, and they speak in ways, and so it's just so wonderful to bring them to different venues. And I even do prison ministry, and there's a Hounds, a Hope, Hounds of Prison, where they were. So there's just something about a dog that unifies us and reaches us in just such a positive way. So you can contact us on Tremendous Leadership or look at fourleggedleadership.com, and we can come and do all the special events for your schools or for your adults.
Or for your adults,
Yes.
yeah. I know for me, Tracey, when I was in the corporate environment, and I started volunteering at a rescue organization, Delaware Valley Golden Retriever Rescue, and my life had changed immeasurably with the first Golden and working with rescue dogs. And I would think to myself, why can't I take my dog into some of these meetings? Because then I think a lot of the conflicts, the posturing would settle down.
It
People would
changes the whole dynamic.
Yes, have you seen that in
Oh gosh,
meetings?
yes, absolutely. There's just something about them that's completely disarming, and they're just pure love. So how are you going to be nasty when you got these dogs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're just saying, come on, let's get with this.
Yes,
Let's get this
yes,
done, right, kids? Yes. Yeah, she is just staring into my soul, honey.
That's what she
She's
does.
just a beautiful, beautiful dog. You're a sweetheart.
Thank you, Barb.
And any other comments you want to talk about with what you're doing with your business, future thoughts, future steps?
No, just we're open, and if there's any rescues that want the dogs to come out to do a fundraising, we love to do that.
Excellent.
To support, we donate. We're involved with a lot of the rescues, but if you'd like us to come do a special event, a fundraiser, anything like that, please contact us and just help us get those books out there, because books and dogs change the world.
There you go. I feel the same way, Tracey. I think we're kindred spirits in that respect. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I think we'll do a wrap-up. We all wish you a wonderful holiday season, all the viewers out there. We have so many positive messages in today's world. Tracey's, what she's done and what she's created brings that positivity to the world today, and we certainly all need it, whether we're adults or children of any age. So please take a look at what she's offered today. And again, thanks for joining us, and we will see you in November. We will be on a week earlier than normal because of the Thanksgiving Friday, Black Friday. We rescheduled for the 18th, so we'll be back with another exciting program. You can find our program online at bctv.org anytime on demand once it's loaded up. I think you're going to want to share Tracey's videos and her stories of all three of these wonderful pups. And again, thanks for joining us. And if we could just show our contact slide, that would be terrific, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Barb.